Good morning to you. Mark's out of HurricaneTrack.com here with your weekly outlook and discussion, the off-season edition, of course. It is April 27th, 2021, and as you can see, I'm in a hotel room. Where am I? I am in Abilene, Texas. Why am I here? We'll get into that. But first, we're going to talk a little bit about the tropics, just a little bit of an update on hurricane season stuff. After all, it is Hurricane Track, but it is severe weather season. And that means we have to talk about some severe weather, and that dovetails very nicely into why I am in Abilene, Texas, and that is to do some testing. Severe weather is a good backdrop to do so, so that's why I'm here. But first, let's just take a real quick look at things related to the upcoming hurricane season. Interesting to see that the SOI has had a generally downward trend here over the last several days and past few weeks. And so the numbers are, well, the 30-day average is pretty close to neutral at just 0.10. The 90-day average also coming down. It's now below 4. Typically when it's above 7, that's a La Nina, solid La Nina indication. So these indices are getting, lower and lower, getting closer and closer to a more neutral setup. And even the daily contributor today is 5. It's not in double digits. So the general pattern is has been one trending more and more towards a neutral ENSO state, El Nino Southern Oscillation, ENSO. That's what that means. Still not convinced at all that we'll see a warm ENSO or El Nino, but more of a moderated La Nina. And you can see that here just looking at the sea surface temperature anomalies for the Western Hemisphere. We'll look at the Atlantic in a minute because, wow. But here's the cool Pacific. It's still kind of weak La Nina conditions, cold in the Northeast Pacific up here, all the way to the Baja. Just a small region of minor, moderate to moderate warm anomalies off the coast of Mexico. The hurricane season for the Eastern Pacific, the Southeast Pacific, begins in basically 2 weeks, at least on a calendar. So we're almost there. May 15th begins advisories, or at least tropical, hopefully not advisories, but the tropical weather outlook for the East Pacific and the Atlantic will resume in just a couple of weeks. It's coming up here around May 15th. So, we got to pay attention to this kind of stuff. It's going to start to really matter. The anomalies, the actual sea surface temperatures, because remember what we're looking at here are departures from the normal or the average, and we still have a rather cool look to the Pacific, but boy, oh boy, look at the Atlantic. Yeah, this is in the subtropics up here, but that is really warm compared to the long-term average, and even down here in the deep tropics, the main development region, all the way over to portions of the southwest Atlantic through the Straits of Florida into parts of the Gulf. The Gulf is going to fluctuate. Even just week to week, you can get some wild swings. It's always going to be warm enough by August and September, as an example, for intense hurricanes. So I'm not too concerned about anomalies in the Gulf. That's more of like affecting deep south, severe weather through here, and maybe even up into the plains where I am, because this warmer water temperature profile can lead, when you have a big high sitting out here, and you get the return flow around that high, pumping the moisture and the overall wind flow into the southern United States. Warmer water temperatures gives you more moisture, more evaporation, and that can get translated, or what we call advected. Advection is the horizontal movement of air, in this case, and moisture, and that can fuel thunderstorms. But I digress. We'll get back to that in a minute. But yeah, this look overall in the Atlantic is one that indicates the likelihood of quite a busy hurricane season ahead. We've seen several agencies, both university-based, some private agencies, individuals, meteorologists, whatever, a lot of different people issuing their sage advice about what they think about the upcoming hurricane season. I look at it and say, you know what? This is the look that would typically give the Atlantic a busy year. And another way to look at it is this is not the look of a suppressed season. at least we don't see that yet. Things can change. It's only basically the end of April, but we're getting close enough to it now that I think we're going to start to be locked in, and then it's going to just be a matter of how busy and where does what does form show up and make landfall. If, where does it track? Where do these storms track? We shall see. So check this out, and of course, how strong will they be when they get there? Those questions we cannot answer right now, not even close. So we look at what's out the window, so to speak. Open up the window, look outside, see what you see. What do we see? Well, the Gulf is warming up. The 26 Celsius line, I'll draw my little line around it. So a good deal of the Gulf is now generally warm enough for tropical cyclone activity. But upper level winds, other factors kind of prevent that this time of year, thank goodness. We're going to have enough to deal with as the season progresses, I'm sure. So let it just wait. That's fine. We all have plenty of other things to do. I know I do a lot of projects I'm working on, but it's coming. And I want you to be aware of it, not be afraid, not be uneducated about it. Kind of, learn more and be ready when something does come, because these water temperatures are on their way up. 27 Celsius here, that's about 81 Fahrenheit, 28 down here, and a little isotherm showing 29 Celsius. So yeah, nothing abnormal really. It's not alarming how warm these temperatures are. This is exactly what you would expect. And as we get into the month of May, we're going to start talking about it more. What to look for, what we're going to be doing. I'm going to be starting a new podcast on May 15th. That'll be available to everybody on all the platforms. Hosting that or producing it through Anchor. The Anchor app, some of you probably, and a lot of the professionals use that. Our crowdfunding support, not only from the money side, is as solid as ever. And then we have these great, innovative people helping out from all over the world. A lot of stuff coming up this year, this hurricane season, that's going to help us be ready, that'll help me to help you be ready as well. Keep you informed as to what's going on without any BS. At least I hope not. And if I have any BS, call me out. I'm open to it. But I'll try to avoid that. So why am I in Texas? Well, there's a slight risk of severe weather today, and that's fine. I'd rather it be tolerable and manageable than moderate or high like we saw 10 years ago today. Down here in this area, we were going to have the awful outbreak 10 years ago today. We all remember that. Lots of talk about it on Twitter right now, so I'm not going to rehash it. But yes, severe weather is important. I try to draw your attention to it to keep you aware. We have so many distractions going on in our lives. The weather is the one thing that connects all of us, whether we know it or not, whether we like it or not. So just kind of keeping you up to date on that. But why am I here? And I'm right in here in this area. And what am I doing? Well, we're doing some testing of some of our equipment. And I'm going to show you a picture of that in a minute. It's very important. We've got this tremendous crowdfunding group that literally invest in what we're doing. Some of them even buy equipment and send it to me. And we work with people behind the scenes, developing digital dashboards, mapping, interfaces to get things going, coding. It's a team effort. And we want to make sure everything works, right? And so this is a good backdrop to do so. If I put cameras and instruments just in my backyard or whatever, that's boring, and that's just still too much of a controlled environment. There's not much variability with that. As you know, in science, you want to have a control group, and then you want to have like the variable, a group where there is some kind of a variable involved. And if I just put everything in the backyard, it's easy peasy. Might have to worry about the kids hitting it with the soccer ball or something, but that's about it. In the severe weather backdrop, there's the time crunch. Got to get it done by a certain time. That's like a hurricane coming, because the hurricane's coming no matter what. So we're under a time crunch. Got to get everything set up before a certain period of time. In this case, before the severe thunderstorms show up and do their thing. Understanding how the camera systems work. Just making sure everything's still working as expected. Are there any bugs? Are there any glitches? Is there anything we can do different? I'm working with a gentleman named Matt, who is from Austin. He's one of our patrons and supporters. He drove up. He's using his truck. Rental vehicles are actually very difficult to get right now. That's a whole other story. It's a national problem. But, you know, learning to work with Matt, he's offered to help in other situations when he can. And so, you know, do we work well together? You know, these are all things you got to figure out. And the equipment side is so, so important. So that's why I'm here. We have a slight risk. I'll talk about that real quick, just to give you an idea of what we're looking at. A lot of paragraphs here, a lot of words, but what it boils down to is kind of a hodgepodge of, you know, supercells that could form in here, maybe some messy clusters, a lot of heavy rain, maybe some severe hail, a few tornadoes, but it's not a big, widespread, you know, everybody head for the storm cellar kind of deal, which is good. That's fine, because that's probably coming later in May. I don't think we're going to get out of the month of May without having a moderate or a high risk out here, or even enhanced, whatever. But this is a lower impact day overall, and that's good for the people that live here and for our testing purposes, because it doesn't make it quite as stressful for me. But we're going to come back in a couple of weeks. We're going to drive out here. I actually airlined everything out here yesterday. Bring me back on for a second. I flew a bunch of equipment out here, and Matt picked me up in Dallas, and we're in Abilene right now. We've set up 2 cameras. We have 2 more to go. And you've seen my live cameras before if you know my stuff, and those still work great. And, you know, there's not much new to that. We're just going to have more of them this year. In fact, we will have 20 live camera systems and 2 vehicle cams. So basically 22 camera feeds this year. But what's different is the weather data, and I'll show you that. So here's what one of them looks like. We set this up on a light pole late last night, and single strap on there. It's about, I don't know, 10 feet above the ground, something like that. Matt brought a couple of ladders so we could get this up and have a nice view. But what's really, really important is this little guy right here. Let me highlight it with a color you can see better. That is a Raspberry Pi computer, and you can't see it, but also in this shot is a little blue Kestrel data sensor. In fact, let me go get one. Hold on. Got one sitting over here. Here we go. Sorry, I wasn't prepared. Let me turn the camera on again. So this is the little Kestrel Drop 3. That's what this is called, and we have a number on it, number 8. So we have 8 Raspberry Pis. Actually, we have more than that. This is just number 8. The idea is this talks to the Raspberry Pi that you see there, that little glowing thing, via Bluetooth. And then the Raspberry Pi talks to the Verizon hotspot, which is right there, you know, through radio signal, Wi-Fi, and the Nest camera that's in there, that is right there, does the same thing. This is one of the 2 batteries that powers it all, and voila, you have a live camera feed and live weather data, everything except wind coming from this guy in real time. And out here in severe weather land, dew point, temperature, humidity, that kind of thing, especially the dew point, you talk about dry line and moisture and all that, that's very, very important. In a hurricane, we want to really measure the air pressure. And these Kestrels are really good at that. They're accurate and dependable. These are rugged. We can leave these outside of the cases, and they can take a beating, and they do a really, really good job. And these were all crowd-funded. You know, people contributed to crowdfund this, and we have a bunch of them. We're testing 4 of these out here. What does it look like? It looks like this. We have the cameras set up. This is our digital dashboard, and this is our vehicle cam. You know, there's the hotel. I'm in a room on the other side. I mean, this is so cool, isn't it? This is one of the cameras over in Brock Junction. Look at that wide view. Dude, are you kidding me? You know, whatever rolls through there later today, we'll see it. Is it going to be a tornado? Probably not. I don't care. I just want to see if all of this works. But with it, there's also weather data. I'll show you that in just a second. This is the other camera that we have in a little town called Ranger. And you can see that's also a nice wide view. You got a little bit of the hills there. This is Interstate 20 Wow, it's just so neat. We can watch all of this in real time. Then we have 2 more cameras that we're going to be setting up. And then here, of course, are the people that help to support it, yeah, that fund it, that give ideas. It's not just the money, but it's the ideas. They fund it with their ideas, too. We plot all of this on the interactive tracking map as well. In hurricane season, of course, we use this for hurricanes. But we've got permanent cameras all around the, good deal of the Western Hemisphere, from down here in the islands. As I zoom in, yeah, here's one over in San Juan from Carlos Place. Beautiful shot there from San Juan. But like I said, we're testing, so let's go up here to Texas and let's look at the ones that we set up here in Texas, just west of Weatherford. That's what the interface looks like. You see, date and time, temperature, pressure, humidity, dew point. A gentleman named Will Woodgate, I'm going to tell you about him because the guy is freaking awesome. Young man over in the UK, helped me to program all this. I gave him the ideas. He had all this time on his hands because of the pandemic. What a good thing to come out of that, because this is useful. People can tune into this and see what's going on, and we can use it during a hurricane situation. Imagine with 20 of these set out, watching this in real time, and 3 of these systems, these complete packages, will also have wind data included as well from R.M. Young anemometers. Those are much more expensive. These are about $130 each. The R.M. Youngs are $1,600 each, and they are harder to set up. You have to site them or set them up very specifically, or it's no good, and so it's a lot harder to do that. But we will have 3 wind instruments as well. So this is what the interface looks like. You can go full screen on the camera and then go back and you see the interface. Wow, how cool is this? And it's all powered over the Verizon network. These are the two cameras we've got now. Our plan is, Matt and myself, is to go somewhere up in this area and put the other 2 cameras and just spread them out. Again, just trying to test stuff, see how well it works. So far, it's flawless. And the other important thing about all of this is, let me go back to the dashboard here. This square or panel right here is where our new anchor, C.J. Morgan, the event host, young man from Venice, Florida. I sound like old guy, young man. I'm a young man. I'm only 50. C.J. is half my age, though, so I guess he is a young man. Anyhow, it's just funny. C.J. is going to host the coverage. And let me show you what I mean by that. This is kind of a good way to do it. Let's just move me down here and pretend like I fill up the whole screen. I would be C.J., and I would be on, he's going to come on around 1:30, is that what it says? Yeah, 1:30 p.m. Eastern. He's going to come on and just kind of run things. And so he can tell you, look at camera 4, look at camera this, Mark's telling me that. He can pull up radar scope. He's going to use something called OBS, bring in graphics, he'll update people. He's kind of the anchor, like you would see on television. It's not like I think we've invented something new, but what we are doing that's different than television is that it's interactive. He can tell you, here's an example. All right, everybody, if you go look at camera number 3, we're noticing that there is a lot of hail on it or something. I'm just making it up. This is camera 3, so he could say, why don't you go full screen on that real quick? You wouldn't see CJ like you see me there. That's just my software. But he could talk to you, and he could say, okay, now go off full screen, and I'm going to pull that up for you on radar. It's interactive. You can't do that on television. I mean, somebody could tell you, go look at your phone or do whatever. It's a little interactive, but this is interactive right here in front of you. And imagine during a hurricane when we've got 15 or 20 of these set up. That's what we're doing. CJ's going to have to practice and get good at this, and this is a good test for that. And we're all friends here. There might be some mistakes. Somebody might walk through his shot at his house. I don't care. We're all working together on this. This is a wonderful, innovative, amazing thing, and that's why I'm here. All right? So, again, the tracking map has the stuff plotted. Really, really neat. How can you access this, not just for this event, but for hurricane season? It's Patreon. That's what we use. Patreon, I'll show you their homepage here. It's a way that art and creators, weather people like me, bloggers, poets, songwriters, gamers, there's a lot of different fan sites out there where people can get supported. YouTube has it. Facebook has ways. I use Patreon. And we've done it for several years now. This is about my 5th year. The memberships begin at $10 a month, but it's more than a membership. It's an investment in this kind of stuff. That's what we do with it. You know, it's not a subscription to something that you get in the mail or it's just one way. It's incredible. Patreon.com/HurricaneTrack. The link is in the description of all these videos. That's what we're doing. And with your help, we can do it even better, get you involved. I wish that I could make it available to everybody free of charge. But if I did that, I would, be living in a van down by the river, as the late, great Chris Farley used to exclaim on Saturday Night Live. Seriously, got to earn a living somehow. This is how I do it. And in the process, we are doing some truly great and incredible things that contributes to the science, helps to motivate people to learn more about the weather. We get involved with people. It's truly remarkable, and I'm so proud to have it all working, and so forth and so on. So I'm going to shut up, get out of here, get ready to set those other cameras up, and we shall see what happens. Of course, I will always post stuff on Twitter. HurricaneTrack is the brand. I'm on Twitter. We do have a Facebook page, HurricaneTrack, and you're watching this on YouTube, so you know I'm there. If you're not subscribed to my channel, might as well do it now. Hit the notification button so that you get notified when I'm live, when I post a video, all of that good stuff. You know how social media works, but sometimes you just need a little reminder, I guess. Have a great rest of your Tuesday, and I'll see you from out there on the road. Oh yeah, just real quick, sorry, before I go, I want to talk to you one more time. We will have the public YouTube feed going. We always will have that. That'll never go away or ever, be monetized, if you will. We want to do as much as we can for the public. So yes, there is always going to be a public YouTube feed, absolutely free of charge. We don't even put ads or commercials on it. There shouldn't be. If you see one, let me know, because we don't do that. And our producer guy, Mike, over in Orlando, can occasionally bring in a camera overlay, or CJ might pop in on there. That's going to be up and running this afternoon as well. So stay tuned for that. And that's why you should subscribe to the channel and make sure you get notified. So when I go live, you can watch. All right, now I'm done. I'm Mark Stott with HurricaneTrack.com. As always, thanks for watching. I'll see you from out there in Texas as we tackle this severe weather day, and we'll see what happens. Thanks. Talk to you later.